Hi, Keo from the future here. I have watched this video 3 or 4 times now, and I gotta be honest, I say some pretty stupid shit in here. I don't say whether or not taxes should be increased on the rich. I say that the United Nations is an essential part of Taiwan's continuance, which it really isn't. I get a text in the middle of the video. My mom calls me. I say the video is kind of boring in the middle of it, but in the spirit of forthrightness, honesty, and, well, beginning, I'm just gonna upload the video with this disclaimer at the start. Everybody has to start somewhere when it comes to political commentary, and I think that the things I say in this video come across much better than the things I fail to communicate. I'm gonna get better at this over time. Please be patient with me. Thank you so much for giving me your time and a chance. Please enjoy the rest of the video. Alrighty, hi there ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming at you from a new camera angle if you've been watching me live. I noticed that you guys have really not been able to see my hands, so I have moved you forward. On today's stream, we're going to be doing a rare cross post between my live channel and my political channel, Relatively Civil Discourse, which are both available on YouTube and linked wherever you can find them. Today we're going to be, bam, doing the 8 values political test. Sorry, I'm still working on this. Stuff, but I got it here. You've probably seen a couple people do this online. Should we just get right into it? Yeah, we should just get right into it. My girlfriend will be back from work in an hour and 18 minutes. And we will try and be done before that so that I can spend time with her. You'll be presented with a series of statements for each one. Click the button with your opinion on it. Thank you for my mother's dyslexia there. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. I disagree with this. Do we need to get into it? I think that governments are more coercive and pernicious than corporations most of the time. Corporations are predictable. You can regulate them. I'm more afraid of the government than I am of corporations. Disagree? We're all in here? It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. Yeah, I agree with this. Definitely, there are definitely many macro cases where this is true. I know that that's going to piss off some of the right-wing listeners to this channel, but that's fine. The free of the market is the free of the people. Well, here you go. I'll send it right back to you guys. This is something that I agree with. This is something that I think is true very, very frequently. It's not always true, but I'm going to go strongly agree. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. Well, if you don't have a balanced budget, your citizens are not going to have welfare for all time. I care more about balanced budgets, than I do about permanent splendor. I have been trying to think of the best way out of the Keynesian hell or Keynesian hell that we've placed ourselves in from the late 20th century and early 21st century. I'm not a modern monetary theorist. I think that the chickens are going to have to come home to roost on the welfare state eventually, given the population demographic crunch that we're about to go through, and given the fact that even without that, we would struggle to maintain the welfare state. I'd like to come at this welfare problem differently, with maybe universal basic income or an alternative policy than the ridiculous welfare systems we have in Canada and the United States, which I am most familiar with. Agreed. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. That's not necessarily true. Publicly funded research brings lots of public goods to our society. That's pretty much indisputable. I would also say there are publicly funded research also ends up being a lot more flashier and a lot more unitary. However, when publicly funded research fails and doesn't produce anything for the people, it costs us and doesn't produce anything. And when privately funded research fails, it only hurts the investors. Kind of makes it difficult to allocate publicly funded research resources. So how you define beneficial here is important. I definitely think that privately funded research is better at allocating important innovation than publicly funded research. I feel like that's an empirically based argument. Disagree. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. I am someone who is a free trader. However, First of all, on principle, I'd say I'm someone who's a free trader. I would also say that it's very, very clear in 2022 that the cult of shareholder capitalism started in 1980s, and the ridiculous level of free trade that we've committed to create our hyper-globalized world that is super dependent on this supply chain that we destroyed with our lockdowns was a mistake. So I believe in free trade, but in 2022, I believe in restricting trade with, I would say, I believe in deglobalizing the economy and regionalizing it. I don't think that we should be getting 80%. I don't think that China should be the world's factory anymore. I don't think that we should be getting rare earth metals from China anymore because they oppress their people. Brazil is where we should be getting our rare earth metals from, and we can make things here. We did it before. We can do it again. I'm talking about America. We did not make a lot of stuff here. We've kind of always been a colonial exportation economy. But we can figure it out. We're America's neighbor. Tariffs and international trade are important to encourage local production. Yes. From each according to his ability, each according to his needs. Interesting. We all know where this is from. So, if I want to give like a hot take on, I can't get my water open because my hands are sweating. That's freaking awesome. There we go. If you want to get into my like hot take on this, I would say that a centrally planned system designed to supplant capitalism and distribute ability and need usually ends up distributing ability and need worse than a private system with a liberal welfare system in it. And so maybe if you believe in this resolution, you should reconsider your Marxist positions and take a look at the 20th century. Yeah, I don't know. That's my hot take, is that, I don't know, Marxists are going to shit on me for saying that completely, but maybe an interesting argument that liberalism distributes ability need better than totalitarian Marxist-Leninism or state capitalism or socialism with Chinese characteristics. We're going to go neutral. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. Well, it would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity, but I don't think that's possible. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all lived in a world where completely consensual exchange out of the goodness of our hearts could fulfill all the demands of social programs? It would be best, wouldn't it? But, like, is that really what this question is asking? Like, this is not a practicable resolution. So I don't really know how to answer. Sorry about that, I'll turn my ringer off. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. I'm a streamer right now, not a YouTuber. It's a cross post. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. It would be best, but we can't do that. I feel like saying disagree, because this is such a nincompoop resolution. Or neutral. I guess I want to go neutral. Do I? I think I'm going to go disagree. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. I want to change the way that we do taxes. I have not spent enough time looking at the numbers and deciding on what I want a budget to look like to actually tell you what I think the tax rate should be, but most politicians and most political pundits don't do that. I hopefully intend to do that in like the next 12 months. I can definitely figure out the Alberta budget and the Alberta tax rate. I think I can do that in the next 12 months. I'm going to try and do it in like the next 6. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. I don't know, it depends when, depends where. Like, oh, we're only on question 10. Jeez Louise, we gotta pick it up. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. We're just gonna go agree. We'll satisfy the Zoomers in the chat. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth, and I am annoyed at inheritance tax over all rates. I don't care if it's $1 billion or $1 million, okay? I know that generational wealth is a problem, but property rights, can we respect the last will and testament of people who want to bestow their property to people? Like, come on. I strongly agree with this. You just saw me get triggered. Basic utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. If the government is better at allocating these basic utilities, which we kind of all implicitly agree that they are, then they should be publicly owned. And yeah, I like a public road system. I freaking hate toll roads. I believe the government owns the power infrastructure, but the power production is privately owned, so it's kind of a mixed issue. I don't think that the entire electricity grid should be... There's obviously a place for private companies in the electricity market. It's a very elastic good. Well, it's good, though. What do you want me to say? This is going to be a very boring video, isn't it? Yeah. No. Neutral. Government intervention is a threat to the economy. Yes, obviously. Those with greater ability to pay should receive better health care. Well, that's an interesting question. If everybody gets better health care, if those with the greater ability to pay can do it, if it increases the net quality of healthcare that everyone gets, should we do it? Let's separate this resolution, what I just said, from this resolution. Is that true? That might be fundamentally unjust, right? Like, still people at the bottom will not get the best care of the people on the top. But if everyone gets more care, is it better? That's a question we should answer as a society. That's not this question. I'm much more interested in the former. I'm not sure if the premises of the former lead to this being a true resolution or a good one. But I feel like you can tell that I kind of agree with it in sentiment, right? I obviously think we should take care of people at the bottom. But if it gives everyone better quality care, then those with the greater ability to pay should. I'm not sure if it does, though. I think I'm going to click agree. Quality education is a right of all people. No. That's not how rights work. Yeah. The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. No. The United Nations should be abolished. Well, I'm not a fan of the United Nations. I'm not a fan of international law, but I do think that a broken clock turns out to be right twice a day, and the United Nations is the only reason why the Republic of Korea is still around. It's one of the reasons why Taiwan is still around, you could say. And the self-determination of those two peoples is worth it to keep this weird anachronistic institution around. It's such the United Nations is very ambitious, you know? I have some respect for it. It doesn't accomplish much, though. I'd say it's perfectly correct to say that they're a broken clock that strikes you down to the day. I don't think it should be abolished. Disagree. Military action by a nation is often necessary to protect it. Not this one. This one does not require a lot of military action to protect. I mean, we need one. We gotta use it sometimes. I'm sure there'll be a bit more defense-based questions that we can tease out this with. I think I'm just gonna go disagree. I support regional unions, such as the European Union. I support regional unions... What do you mean? What the heck is a regional union? Such as the European Union? Well, let's just talk about whether or not I support the European Union. I am in favor of Brexit. I would never... This is my question. This is my question. I know that that's a super hot take in Canada and among the liberal community and the online community, but let's ask ourselves, Canadians, would you like it if a NAFTA board, instead of the Canadian legislature, decided tariffs and imports and do all these things? And yeah, we do have a NAFTA board, but we control way more of we control all the non-NAFTA based trade. What would you think if a NAFTA board controlled all of our North American trade? It's like, what would you think if Canada had the frickin' American immigration system? It would be a disaster. Do you want... Would Canadians and Americans are some of the most similar, friendly people on Earth. And whenever I ask Canadians, it's like, do you want no restrictions at the border? Do you want open borders between Canada and America and let them work here in unlimited amounts without restriction? Every Canadian goes no. It's like, well, those are all pretty much, I mean, like, I'm simplifying it a lot. Those are all pretty much things that you have to sign up for if you want to be, like, a core Schengen member of the European Union. And if most Canadians don't want to do it with most Americans, then how the heck are the English supposed to do it with the French and the Germans and the Italians? So, I support the European Union, just like Winston Churchill, as a way to maintain peace in Europe and expand Europe, like, liberally. But I don't support British participation in the European Union. Also, I was about to say, it seems like the British people don't anymore, but I actually kind of think the British people want back in. I support, that was kind of a stun lock, wasn't it? I support regional unions such as the European Union. What the heck is a regional union? You heard my thoughts on the European Union. I don't know what this is. Better define this question. Neutral. It is important to maintain our national sovereignty. Yes. It's one of the reasons why we need to have a military, even in the 21st century. How much more needs to be said on that? Agree. A united world government would be beneficial to mankind. No way, man. Who in the world is going to run the world government in a way that satisfies 7 billion people? A municipal government can't even satisfy its people. Okay? How in the world are we going to make a united world government work? Shit's not going to happen. I don't even think it would be good. No. Strongly disagree. We gotta get some hot takes in there. I feel like I'm only clicking agree and disagree or neutral. It is important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. Yeah, I think I disagree with this. Maybe it's a little Hobbesian, maybe it's a little conservative, maybe it's a little Machiavellian, but I'd like to make sure my nation is in a strong position rather than in a friendly one. Even Canada, for the record. I think the 21st century is going to be a lot less friendly than the late 20th. So no, disagree. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. Yeah, wars are wars. I don't know what this means. It's like, wars don't need to be justified to other countries. It's like, yeah, the international condemnation against Russia in the form of international law and non-economic means was completely failed as a deterrent. It was fanfare. This is what I want to say to people who think that wars need to be justified to other countries, is that the wars are wars and they happen no matter what. And so trying to critique them from that moral and international law standpoint is quite silly. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. Agree. Military spending is a waste of money. Yeah, you heard me here. Disagree, yeah? Oh, now my mom's calling me. I'll get back to her. I'm a streamer, not a YouTuber in this video. Once again, military spending is a waste of money. Disagree. Strongly disagree. International aid is a waste of money. Strongly disagree. My nation is great. I love Canada. Come on, I'm pretty sure you get that vibe already. We've only been sitting down for 20 minutes, me and you, but yeah, I love Canada. Strongly agree. Research should be conducted on an international scale. Strongly agree. Do we want to talk about how the international scale of research makes it difficult to obtain truth sometimes because of bureaucratic incentives? Or do we just want to say that research should be conducted on an international scale with that in mind? I think it's the latter. Agree. Government should be accountable to the international community. Yeah. Like, how do we hold them accountable? This is what I'm talking about before. It's like, I don't think we hold them accountable with finger wagging and whining about international law. I think we hold them accountable with deterrence and force and Economic means. How do you define accountability? Agree. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. Eat shit. Sorry for getting a little crass there, but even when protesting the authoritarian government, violence is always an acceptable form of protest against authoritarian governments. Maybe violence is always an acceptable form of protest if it's in self-defense. Yes, not maybe. Violence is always an acceptable form of protest if it's in self-defense. Do we need to get into this? No! Screw you if you think we need to get into this. If you establish authoritarian governments, I'm going to commit violence against you. On my land, obviously. Self-determined. If you want to create an authoritarian government through self-determination, go nuts. I'll finger wag you, though. Disagree. Strongly disagree. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. Strongly disagree. I don't really have a religion, though. Our nation's values should be spread as much as possible. Strongly disagree? Wait, did I click the right answer there? Yeah. Our nation's values should be spread as much as possible. What do you mean? Through force? No. Through speech? Through example? Yes. That's not as much as possible, though, is it? Sounds like a disagree to me. We're getting through these quick now. It is very important to maintain law and order. It sure is important to maintain law and order. What else do you want me to say? Who's going to click disagree? Agree. The general populace makes poor decisions. Okay, well, this is true. I think this is true. I think most people agree with this. This is why we live in representative democracies and not direct democracies. How do we curtail the stupidity of the people with their ultimate sovereignty? That's an excellent question. I would love to figure it out with you. Please subscribe. Agree. Physician-assisted suicide should be legal. Heck yeah, brother. Self-determination. Dueling should be legal. Meth should be legal. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody and it's consensual, go for it. The sacrifice of some civil liberty the sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. Nope. Nope. We are getting to the hot takes now. I'm glad we have a few of these halfway in. Come on, guys. I'm gonna be saying this a lot. This is a Benjamin Franklin quote. Maybe I should get like tattooed or something. Those who value security over liberty have none and deserve neither. Those who value security over liberty have none and deserve neither. It's a huge mistake of the 21st century was passing the Patriot Act. It's a huge mistake, in my opinion, to use the Emergencies Act, which we will talk about later in a video that I'm writing about the Emergencies Act and how it was horrifically mishandled by the Ford, Trudeau governments, municipal governments, police forces. It was just a complete disaster that brought a disaster of incompetence that brought that whole situation on. But also using the Emergencies Act was dumb. Okay, I'm done getting triggered. Strongly disagree. I'm not done getting triggered, am I? Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. Strongly disagree. The very existence of the state is the threat to our liberty. Agree. Hey, the state is the greatest guarantor of liberty, and it also takes away liberty more than anybody else. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. Should I say the state is the only guarantor of liberty? Nah, I don't think that's what I say either. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. No. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Why are you trying to pigeonhole conservatism like this? Strongly disagree. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agreed. A hierarchical state is best. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, dog. Neutral. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. Strongly disagree. We were just talking about this. How do we balance the people's stupidity against their sovereignty? Well, I think about this question a lot, and I've only ever heard one good answer on this question, and I believe when Teddy Roosevelt was a New York State Assemblyman, he got shown a poll about a bunch of people who disagreed with a decision that he made, or he had bad approval ratings, and he told the reporters that it's his job to represent the public and not public opinion. And I was like, that is it. That is, if I'm not sure how we temper those two values, but I'm sure that Teddy Roosevelt was right on the money when he said that. It is important that the government follows majority opinion even if it's wrong. Strongly disagree. And that is the best answer I can give you on that so far. But stick around. We'll get a better answer. The stronger the leadership, the better. What? Anakin Skywalker, is that you? Oh, that's funny. Disagree? Democracy is more than... Oh, this sounds like something Hillary Clinton would say. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. What do you mean? Neutral or disagree? I feel like disagree. No, wait. No, I want to disagree. I don't know. It's kind of a double negative. Like, if I disagree that democracy is more of a decision-making process, I'm kind of implicitly agreeing with the argument with this whole more thing. But neutral doesn't. I want to. I want this person who wrote this to know that they should take this question out. What does this even mean? There needs to be a protest button. Neutral. Environmental regulations are essential. Yes. Especially in the 21st and especially in the 20th and 21st century, I think that the argument for environmental regulation became much stronger due to the magnitude of our population increase and the magnitude of our economic output and the consequences of our actions that we're struggling to maintain. It's like, we should at least have public boards that are keeping an eye on the environment. You don't think that we should be regulating it? Come on, man. I'm going to click agree. Yeah, a better world will come from automation, science, and technology. I sure hope so. Don't you? A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. Yeah. I want to try and make it out with all these things. I see so much promise in the 21st century. I see so much that we can do, and we can finally have a global standard of living that would be acceptable to everyone everywhere. I actually think that we can do that in the 21st century through these things. I think that maybe this is a leap. Yeah, I'll increase it. I was about to say that post-scarcity economics is possible in the next 78 years, but I'm not sure of that statement. I am much more confident that we will have post-scarcity economics in the next 178 years, but oh man, look how fast the 20th century turned into the 21st. Wow. That was nuts. It was nuts. And so I'd say there's at least a 50% chance that in the next 78 years we will have post-scarcity economics. And we are going to need, like, our transition to that, if it's happening this century, is going to be bumpy. And we're going to need to manage social unrest, and the state is going to have a role there, I think. Like universal basic income is what I was talking about earlier. I'm not sure if that's the best solution, but we definitely got to do something to temper the world that is coming from automation, science, and technology. But look at how promising it is. I'm not going to click strongly agree, but I am going to click agree. I hope I convince you to agree a little bit there too. Children should be educated in religious or traditional values. By the state? What do you mean, dog? I don't know how children should be educated. Maybe it's up to parents how children should be educated. Public education is a really difficult question, but it's all something that we like. I love public education. I think it's an important part of becoming a human being. And also, it's very clear that public education teaches you how to be more productive in a 21st century society, and 21st century plays a 21st century education plays a collectivizing role in assembling our society, and those are all super important things. But then you have the question of how the heck are we going to collectively decide how to educate our children? It's such a complicated problem. So we should have public education. We'll never be able to figure it out. Children should be educated in religious or traditional values. I think disagree with that statement the way it's put. Maybe I just want to click neutral though. I think disagree. Traditions are of no value on their own. Strongly disagree. Do we need to get into this? Traditions are of no value on their own. What is the virtue of tradition of the continued existence of certain traditions, if not some incalculable, if not articulable, form of value? Traditions are of no value on their own. We're still doing the traditions. They must have a value for that reason, even if you can't articulate it. Disagree. Religion should play a role in government. Strongly disagree. Do we need to get into this a little bit? Yeah, this is something that people talk about a lot. This is something I think about a lot. Is religion necessary to form our societies? I think yes. I can't think of any proper and popular true secular society except for and like, you know, as models, you could say the Soviet Union, but Orthodox Christianity never died, ever, in Russia. Or you could say revolutionary France, but once again, the church did not die in France. You can't really create a secular government, I think, truly. And so, like, religion ends up playing a role, no matter what you do. It kind of forces me to agree with this question, if we go through all those premises that I just laid out. But I'm a liberal. I believe in freedom of religion. Not freedom from religion, by the way, at Quebec, at France. Religion does play a role in government, is a statement I agree with. Religion should play a role in government. Disagree, I guess. I think you guys know what I mean there. That was kind of gobbledygook, though, wasn't it? Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed. Yeah, I don't think churches really are good charities anymore. They're gonna end up... I don't know what we do with the church as an institution. It's a really complicated question that I think I'm not gonna get into right now, because it's just a question about taxation. Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed. I guess agree. Climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. It's definitely up there. Things I'm more afraid of than climate change, the great schism that has been created in our societies by social media and the excesses of the 21st century, that is going to cause a cold civil war, if not a hot one, in Canada, the United States, Britain, Germany, and France, and Italy and Greece, maybe. I put that one above climate change. I also put global nuclear war above climate change. I'm more concerned about that. And I'm also more concerned about the singularity, which is the development of artificial intelligence that is smarter than human beings. I think that shit would wipe us out. And I'm worried about it. Those are four things I'm more concerned about than climate change. But guess what? Climate change is number 5. So I hope... And listen, I'm writing a video about climate change right now. It's the second part of my political platform. I know that I may have just annoyed people who care about climate change, but I feel very confident in my ranking of those issues. Although I think maybe global thermonuclear war should probably be above political polarization. But other than that, yeah. Other than that, I stand by the list. I definitely stand by those 5, and I definitely stand by putting climate change at the bottom of that list. I'm not sure if I stand by my ordering. I can't really recall it off the top of my head right now. Yeah, agreed. It is important that we work as a united world to combat climate change. Yeah, this is the only frickin' way we're gonna do it. This is something that frustrates the hell out of me. Sorry, I'm swearing so much. I am getting triggered. This is something that frustrates the hell out of me about our governments. The best we can do, it seems, in Germany and France, and except for the EU carbon border tax, which is the only globally facing climate change solution that I think has ever been passed, which I'm a huge advocate for, by the way, and I think Canada should join and America should join. Otherwise, all the other climate solutions are like, oh, this is what we're gonna do to hopefully be carbon neutral by like doing a bunch of bullshit offsetting by 2050. It's like, no, that's not gonna do anything. It's really tough to figure this out, and we're literally not going to figure it out unless we all do it together. And if we can't do it together, then maybe we just shouldn't do it, because it's really going to cost us a lot of economic growth and a lot of opportunity if we try and stop climate change in Canada, the United States, and Europe, and don't figure it out in the other places. We will just take ourselves behind while everyone else puts themselves forward. And I want our country to succeed. I think we need to stop climate change. Like, I would rather figure out how to stop climate change as the globe than just give up on it. But we 100% need to figure out how to mobilize collectively on this issue instead of just mobilizing nationally, because that's not going to work. It is extremely important. Strongly agree. So many people say this. Society was better many years ago than it is now. I completely disagree. I love the 21st century. I am so glad that I live in the craziest time that humanity has ever lived in. I love the fact that I have access to omniscience. I love the fact that I can talk to all of you. I love the fact that I live in an air-controlled home. What do you mean? When do you want to live? Would you want to live in the 20th century? Like the most conflict-prone? No, not really the most conflict-prone, but oh my goodness. Whoa, how dicey was it? Also, it's like, if you're not a freaking white guy, if you're not a white man in America in the 20th century, it's a pretty different place for you as well. I don't think society was better many years ago than it is now. Strongly disagree. It is important that we maintain traditions of the past. Passively agree, I guess. I don't know. I know that I just said the virtue of tradition is kind of the virtue of tradition earlier, but that's not true. Like, tradition for tradition's sake is not laudable. Is it important we maintain the traditions of our past? No, we need to try and detect the value in our traditions. That's also what I said. I think it's still a nominal agreement, though. Agree. Is it important we think in the long term beyond our lifespans? Excuse me, sorry. Burping up water. Yeah, I do think it is important to think beyond our lifespans. Do we need to get, is that, how, that's not really, how political of a question is that? Strongly agree. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. Interesting resolution. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. Well, how about this? Maybe reason as a system of cultural maintenance? Maybe we increasingly introduce reason as a system of cultural maintenance? Nah, you can't really do that, right? Cultural expression and reason are pretty diametrically opposed. Reason is more important. I think I should disagree with this. Oh, we can kind of spin this into a question about misinformation, and I can talk about how important free speech is, but I don't think we need to do that right now. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about free speech on this channel. Disagree. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized. Strongly agree. If you're not hurting anybody, go for it, man. Like, take care of yourself. Like, don't mentally harm yourself with drugs, but definitely the state does not stop people from harming themselves with drugs and harms people for using drugs. So we should probably do it differently. Don't you think? Don't you think that? Sorry, I was kind of an asshole there, but so many people are suffering right now because of the war on drugs. Strongly agree. Same-sex marriage should be legal. Strongly agree. For the exact same reasons. Wait, okay, no. Probably not for the exact same reasons, but self-determination is what I meant to say. Sorry, I'm not trying to imply that same-sex marriage is as potentially harmful as drugs. Same-sex marriage should be legal. Yeah, why not, man? No cultures are superior to others. I think some cultures are superior to others. Do we need to get into that? I really like my culture. I like, multiculturalism is a part of my culture. No cultures are superior to others. I disagree with this statement. Sex outside marriage is immoral? No. Up to how do you decide? How do you decide? Like, sex outside marriage can have very bad negative consequences, but it's not up to me, man. It's not up to the state either. Strongly disagree. If you accept migrants at all, it's important that they assimilate into our culture. Yes. Oh, except for the beginning part of the statement, if we accept migrants at all, it is important that they assimilate into our culture. It is important that the immigrants we accept into our culture assimilate into it over time. Should we facilitate that by, like, kidnapping their children and taking them to remote schools and forcing them to learn our culture? No, dog. Probably not that way. It's probably not a good way to get people to assimilate in your culture by kidnapping their children and re-educating them in camps. Let's not do that, huh? Let's maybe, like, lead by example and just practice our culture, and if they like it, they'll stay here. Like, that seems like a pretty good way to get people to assimilate into our culture to me. It seems to work really well. It is important that immigrants assimilate into our culture. I'm sorry about the weird part of the beginning of this resolution, but I do think I agree with it. Abortion should be prohibited in most or all cases. No. We'll talk about abortion later. I don't want to get into, like, my abortion hot take, but I'll tease it. My opinion on abortion, I've been thinking about it for a very long time. However, it was primarily created when I asked my mom about it for the first time. When I was like 16 or 17, I was just like, we were watching the news. I think there was some story about abortion. And I pointed out how divisive abortion is in the United States. And I asked my mother, who's like not a very political person, what she would do about it. And she said the wisest and smartest thing that I have probably heard in the past 10 years on any American political issue. And I have no idea where she got it from. And I've never heard her talk about it again. And we will talk about it later. I disagree. Gun ownership should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. I also disagree. I support single-payer universal health care. Well, we were just talking about this a little bit. A privately organized system that gives healthcare to everyone, but higher quality healthcare to everyone for a cheaper price, would be better than a single-payer universal healthcare system that produced healthcare for everyone, lower quality healthcare for everyone at a higher cost. But that it might not be the society and decision-making scheme that we're living in, man. I think it is more important that everyone have healthcare than it is for the people at the top to have access to unlimited care. I feel like for that reason, I am closer to agreeing with the statement than disagreeing with it. Also, keep in mind the exact same I said before. Agree. Agree? That didn't feel right. Maybe I'll go neutral? That doesn't feel right either. Agree. Yeah, I guess it's agree. That's where I lean. Prostitution should be illegal? No. Get out of here. Maintaining family values is essential? I mean, yeah, a little bit. Like, not like, I mean, I know I just said I was strongly in favor of prostitution. It's not immoral, but, like, I like the values of my family. I definitely gonna try and teach my kid my values. Maintaining family values is essential. It's not the state's obligation to maintain family values. It's your personal obligation. And I think, is it essential for a good life? No. Is it essential for a good life? Yeah, I don't think so. Is it still essential? I would say so. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous. Yes. Yes. I don't know. We've been here for 45 minutes. Do we need to get into this? Genetic modification is a force for good, even on humans. Genetic modification is probably a force for good in our food, to make it healthier, to make it cheaper. Really don't want to use genetic modification on humans. Really think, if you want to add genetic modification, number 6 to that list, I don't think it's very, it's not high on my list right now. I think we're not going to do that. I hope we don't. I don't think it's a force for good on humans. Genetic modification is a force for good. I feel like it's a neutral. I feel like it's another neutral. Although I kind of like kick myself whenever I pick neutral. We should open our borders to immigration. Yeah. Canada has a really good immigration system. It's a lot better than the American immigration system. Who should come to this country? Anyone who wants to, who can make it better. And even people who want to. But, you know, we can't take everyone, so we should have a system that decides how many people we should take, and we should make sure that the people that do come here, that want to come here, are the best people. Like, Canada and America have unlimited demand for, not really, but practically unlimited demand, right, for immigration, because so many people want to come to our countries. And so we should have a system that chooses the best people out of those things. And we should also have a system for refugees, and we should also have a system for economic migrants. But if we want to take care, like, I think our immigration system should be primarily focused on getting people to make this country better. However, I think that the collective place for economic refugees and migrants should probably be publicly sponsored. Like, that's something I just thought about recently, so I'm not very confident about it. But maybe instead of critiquing our governments for not taking a amount of refugees or taking too many refugees, we just let people sponsor refugees and have the government make sure that you don't abuse them. That way we don't have to be politically divided on this issue anymore. Like, if you want a refugee and you want to take on the social responsibility of helping someone uproot their entire life and plan it down next to you, like, they could really use your help if you want to help them, man. It's an interesting idea. We should open our border to immigration. Agreed. That was a weird stomach, wasn't it? Government should be as concerned about foreigners as they are about their own citizens. Interesting. Could be concerned. Yeah. The government should pay equal concern to all human beings inside the borders for purposes of law enforcement? Because everyone deserves due process? What do you mean? What do you mean, man? Government should be as concerned about foreigners as they are by their own citizens? Yeah, this question kind of has icky undertones. But yeah, the government should be equally concerned about all people in the country for purposes of law enforcement. It's part of due process. All people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, should be treated equally. Yeah. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. No. What is that question? What a great way to end. Well, let's take a look at our results. Oh, great. Frickin' enlightened centrism. Yep, look at that. Liberalism. I can't even call myself a libertarian. God damn. Sorry for swearing. Should I take back my libertarian card? I really always thought that I was like a center right winger. Well, like I just said, legalized dueling, and I don't know. You've heard a lot of a lot of pretty libertarian hot takes so far on the stream, but yeah, I think that lots of people are going to end up calling me an enlightened centrist because I'm really concerned about this problem of political polarization that I spoke about earlier when I talked about the greatest historic species, and I would way rather compromise on my weird political eccentricities than collapse our society. And if that makes me an enlightened centrist, then I guess I am one. Anyway, let's go through our results. Do we really need to? Like, I'm surprised. I don't know what equality is. I thought I would be more of a free marketeer. It's interesting that I care more about global security than I do for the nation, given how much I just expounded about how important it is for national self-determination. This will surprise nobody. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised what the 30 there is. I don't know, man. And tradition or progress. Yeah, I'm more of a socially progressive person, as you can probably tell. Oh, and how close was I to the actual one? Oh, no, this is just my screenshot of mine. Alright, well, we're at the bottom of the screen. We're coming up on the 50-minute mark. We got through this pretty quick. I had a good time. I hope that you had a good time. I did put my foot in my mouth a couple of times, I'm sure, but if you can be patient with me, and I will definitely get better at this. So please subscribe and see you later.